Hi friends, and welcome back to the channel. Welcome to today's video, where today I go through my entire summer TBR because it is summertime now, which is crazy to say that we are now in summer. That's insane to me. So usually what I do with these types of videos, I usually do like a summer recommendation along with the TBR, but I'm not gonna lie, I couldn't find any books that I had already that I hadn't really recommended too much in the summertime. So this is only the one where I'm just only gonna be talking about my summer TBR pretty much. And I hope that's not too confusing at least. So this is obviously going to be a little bit of a long video, so make sure you get comfy, grab a drink. I currently have two drinks with me. I have my water behind me in the blue container, and I also have a lovely Sprite with some blue raspberry syrup in it. So I've been drinking that a little bit. So good. So we're gonna have that as well too. Again, like I said, grab a drink, grab your book, because it's gonna be a long one, but also I'm going to be talking as well. So let's get into the first one. I believe I have about 17. No, not 17. I have 15 books on here. Not all of them are in the physical form. Some of them do need to be bought as well too. I think only one of them needs to be bought specifically because, yeah, you'll see it in a little bit. The first book that I have on the list, because it is Pride Month, we have The Devil She Knows by Alexandria Bellefleur. Now, I'm not unfamiliar with Alexandria Bellefleur because I have read at least one of her books in the past. Specifically, I got her book Playing for Keeps as an ARC, and I really liked that one. I thought that one was really, really good. I thought it was sweet. It was a nice little way to kind of start out the year of 2026 because it was the first book that I read in 2026. This one follows a woman named Samantha Cooper. She's basically having a day from hell, and in less than 24 hours, her life has unraveled, leaving her single and nowhere to live. Adding insult to injury, she is trapped in an elevator with a gorgeous woman who claims to be a demon. Daphne is not at all what Samantha expected from someone insisting she's an evil supernatural entity. She's pretty, witty, dressed in pink, and smells nice. And she's here to offer Samantha a deal she can't refuse. 6 wishes in exchange for one tiny trade: Samantha's soul. There's a glaring loophole in their contract, one Samantha fully intends to exploit so she doesn't have to fork over her soul. After all, she only needs one wish to get her ex back. Yeah, hell-bent to gather the last of the 1,000 souls she needs, and so that she can be free of her own devilish deal. Daphne grants each of Samantha's wishes with a twist, so Samantha is forced to make more. Oh, interesting. As Samantha's wishes dwindle and Daphne offers her glimpses into a life she thought she wanted, the unlikely pair grows close. Perhaps the girl of Samantha's dreams is actually the stuff of nightmares, but Samantha and Daphne will have to outsmart the devil herself if they want a chance for a happily ever after. And I just realized we have the same first name. I love that. I love seeing my names in different books for female main characters, but it looks tiny and it looks good, honestly. And I do like the way that Alexandria Bellefleur writes. I think her stuff is very, very witty. It's very funny, and I'm really excited to read this. I have this coming up in an upcoming video as a filming wise and such. You guys will see it later in June because, you know, Pride Month. We love Pride Month, but that is the first book that I want to read on my June TBR. Not my June TBR, my summer TBR. Oh my lord. And then the next one is also a little bit of a sapphic read, but it is If We Were Villains, or not If We Were Villains, If We Were a Movie by Zakiya and Jamal. I believe that's how you pronounce her first name. I'm gonna double check something just to make sure. Zakiya. Okay, I was correct. It is Zakiya. But basically, this follows 2 teenagers that I believe are working at a movie theater. Specifically, I'm just going to read it from here, is Rochelle the Shell Coleman is laser focused on three things: becoming valedictorian, getting into Wharton, and of course taking down her annoyingly charming nemesis in only academic competition, Amira Rodriguez. However, despite her stellar grades, Rochelle's college application is missing that extra special something, a job. When Rochelle gets the opportunity to work at Horizon Cinemas, the beloved Black-owned movie theater, she begrudgingly accepts the job to boost her chances in getting into her dream school. There's only one problem: Amira works there, and is also her boss. Rochelle feels being with Amira is its own kind of horror movie, but as the two grow closer, Rochelle starts to see Amira in a new light, one that may have her beginning to actually like her. But Horizon's in trouble and mysterious things begin happening. It's up to the employees to solve the mystery before it's too late. But as they team up, will love also find its way into the spotlight? So that just sounds really kind of cute and just sounds kind of fun. I was kind of scrolling through Goodreads one day and I was like, you know, this sounds like a little cute thing that can like get me into like the summer-ish mood. It seems like something that like is summery and vibey and things like that. So I'm like, you know what? Might as well try it. And I don't know when I will be able to read this, but hopefully I'll be able to read it soon. Maybe also in Pride Month as well too, because, you know, we love Pride Month. But that is the second book on the summer TBR. Okay, the third one I do not have in the physical copy, and that is Long Hot Summer by Esha Patel. You guys have heard me talk about Esha before. She is my author friend of mine. This is her latest book that recently came out. I got an ARC for it back at the end of April, beginning of May, and I believe the book came out in May, but I was not able to read it like before the book obviously came out. So I'm hoping that I will be able to get to it sometime during this summer because it sounds just like an interesting book. I don't really remember too much about what this is about. Let me look it up real fast just to make sure. Basically, what this is about, it's a single dad, grumpy / sunshine, angsty spice type of vibe. So Jordan loves lacrosse. She loves the idea of being a counselor at a lacrosse camp even more. Rod is exhausted from being a single dad, but he loves teaching kids, and his summer camp is his pride and joy. So he finally decides to take on new staff. He wasn't expecting Jordan, and neither were expecting the explosion of chemistry between them. Jordan's only staying until July. Rod hasn't got the time for anything serious, so they can't develop feelings for each other. They won't. Right? So that just sounds kind of like fun. The cover is also very like gorgeous as well too. You can just tell that it is going to be such a fun, summery like read, and it makes sense as why it's a fun summery read because, you know, it's long hot summer, you know, it's got summer in the title. But I basically want to read that. And something you'll notice is I like to read a lot of romances in the summertime because, you know, that's the best time to read it in my opinion. There's like so much like life coming out of the ground. There's so much like liveliness around. Everybody's out and about. Everybody is a lot more social in the summertime because the sun is out. Yeah, that is the third book that I want to read. And then the fourth book that I have on this is What Lies in the Woods by Kate Ellis Marshall. Now, I've read Kate Ellis Marshall in the past, which was A Killing Cold by her, and I want to read this sooner rather than later because I've had this on my TBR since January of 2023. It is one of the longest reigning books on my TBR, and I just need to read it. But the premise of this book goes a little something like this. Naomi Shaw used to believe in magic. 22 years ago, she and her two best friends, Cassidy and Olivia, spent the summer roaming the woods, imagining a world of ceremony and wonder, the Goddess Game. The game became an obsession and a refuge for the three girls. That sanctuary was suddenly shattered when Naomi was attacked. Miraculously, she survived her 17 stab wounds and lived to identify the man who hurt her. The girls' testimony put away a serial killer, wanted for murdering 6 women. They were heroes, but they were liars. For decades, the friends have kept a secret that might be worth killing for, hidden in the forest, but now Olivia wants to tell the whole story. Then she goes missing, and Naomi sets out to find out what really happened in the woods, no matter how dangerous the truth turns out to be. And that just sounds like a perfect, like, thriller for the summertime. It takes place in the woods as well. And something about me, I love a thriller that takes place in a wooded area or like a woodland mansion or just like something that is kind of like a little bit isolated and makes you kind of feel isolated in the story yourself as well. And the vibes just sound immaculate. Plus, I really want to read this and I need to read this before like the end of the year. I plan on reading this like sooner rather than later because, you know, it's one of those books where I'm just like, yep, need to read that. So yeah, that is the fourth book that we have. Jesus, my books are already sliding. And then the fifth book that I have on here is Ward D by Freida McFadden. I have been interested in Freida McFadden for a long time. I still don't know if I am like a fanatic fan of hers, you know? I do like what she writes sometimes. Some of her books are just a little bit like, what the fuck? This one sounds really interesting. And pretty much what this one is about, Ward D is the hospital's mental health unit, and as a medical student, Amy is required to gain experience on the floor. But little do her colleagues know, it may force her to confront a past she's fought hard to forget. The night starts, the countdown begins. As the hours tick by, Amy grows increasingly convinced something terrible is going to happen within the ward's tightly secured walls. When patients and staff start to vanish without a trace, it becomes clear that everyone on the unit is in grave danger. Amy never wanted to spend the night on Ward D. Now she might not make it out alive. Now, the premise? Very intriguing. As I don't know if I'm going to get triggered with this because as a psych major and someone who has like learned a little bit about like mental like institutions and like mental like things like that and like the hospital like mental health institutions and things like that, I'm hoping that it doesn't fall into the character that a lot of these things do and doesn't turn into kind of like an amalgamation, an abomination of some kind, you know? And again, I'm curious about this because one, Freida McFadden, she's such a prolific writer. Like, I don't know how she writes like she's running out of time, you know? It's one of those things where like, I think I do like it. And honestly, out of Freida's books, this one had one of the more intriguing plot lines, you know? Because it was just something that I was just like, oh, this sounds so good. And for some reason, this sounds really good for summer as well too. Do I have any idea why? No, I don't. I just kind of like vibe checked this thing and I was like, you should read it during summer. And I'm like, okay, add to the TBR. But that is the fifth book on the TBR. And then the sixth book that we have on here is Boyfriend Material by Alexis Hall. This one basically follows Luke O'Donnell. His rock star parents split when he was young, and the father he's never met spent the next 20 years cruising in and out of rehab. Now that his dad's making a comeback, Luke's back in the public eye, and one compromising photo is enough to ruin everything. To clean up his image, Luke has to find a nice, normal relationship, and Oliver Blackwood is as nice and normal as they come. He's a barrister, and an ethical vegetarian, and he's never inspired a moment of scandal in his life. In other words, perfect boyfriend material. Unfortunately, apart from being gay, single, and really, really in need of a date for a big event, Luke and Oliver have nothing in common. So they strike a deal to be publicly friendly fake boyfriends until the dust has settled. Then they can go their separate ways and pretend it never happened. But the thing about fake dating is that it can feel a lot like real dating. And that's when you get used to someone, start falling for them. Don't ever want to let them go. This is another one that's good for Pride Month as well too. I have been wanting to read this for a really, really long time as well. I've heard a lot of good stuff about Alexis's stuff. I'm pretty sure he's a guy, but I can't remember off the top of my head. I will probably confirm it somewhere on the screen as well too, whether or not the author is a man. But it just sounds like one of those books where you're like, it's set in London as well, and you're just like, oh, that sounds good. Like, that sounds really, really good, you know? Also, romance, summertime sounds great, along with it being a male on male as well too. Another gay book as well. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say on that one. I am very excited to read this one. I will say it is definitely thicker than a normal romance book that I would normally pick up, which, you know, is fine. I don't have an issue against that type of stuff, but you know, I'm excited for this one. And then the 7th book that I have, I do not have in the physical copy because, one, I'm scared to read it in the physical copy, and that is Mile High by Liz Tomforde. I think it's Tomforde, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But I feel like everybody knows what this book is about, so I'm not even going to explain too much about it, but basically it is a part of the Windy City series by Liz Tomforde. Obviously, a lot of people love that series, but a lot of people also don't like this book very much. And you know, my plan for if I continue on with this series, I'm going to give the first book a chance. And if I don't like it, then I will move on to the second book and see what we think about that as well too. But I'm just gonna read. I feel like everybody knows what this is about. It follows Xander's and Stevie. Xander's is the hockey player, while Stevie, she is a flight attendant, and I think they just go through just like stuff or whatever, you know. She's a flight attendant. Yeah, Stevie is the new flight attendant on the team's private plane, so that's how they meet each other. And I'm guessing they like start like tempting each other and things like that. Again, I feel like everybody knows what this is about, so I don't really want to go too much into it. But the reason why I want to read this is, one, it's on my 26 books to read in 2026, and it also like perfect summertime vibes as well. I was planning on reading this on my Kindle because I've had it on Kindle Unlimited for a long time. I don't remember how long I've had it on my Kindle, but I know that I've had it on there for a long time, and I just finally need to read it. I just feel like that now is the best time for me to try it. I've been also kind of getting into the mood of trying new authors as well too. I'm also kind of on the like kick to kind of like read, and also even if I don't like this, I'm still going to give the series a chance because I do like a 3 strikes and you're out rule regarding like authors and like what they write, you know? So I'm 100% going to give Mile High a chance, but I'm not too sure how it's gonna go. I hope it goes really good because I know some people do like Mile High and like the other novels along with it as well too. So we shall see which group I'm a part of with that one. Okay, and then the 7th book that I have on here is one that is a favorite author of mine who I've been trying to get through her backlist before she has more books come out, and that is Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This one basically follows Malibu in August of 1983. It's the day of Nina Riva's annual end of summer party, and anticipation is at a fever pitch. Everyone wants to be around the famous Riveras. Nina, the talented surfer and supermodel, brothers Jay and Hud, one a champion surfer, and the other a renowned photographer, and their adored baby sister, Kit. Together, the siblings are a source of fascination, especially as the offspring of the legendary singer Micah Riva. By midnight, the party will be completely out of control. By morning, the Riva mansion will have gone up in flames, but before that first spark in the early hours before dawn, the alcohol will flow, the music will play, and the love and secrets that shaped this family's generations will come rising to the surface. Malibu Rising is a story about one unforgettable night in the life of a family. The night they each have to choose what they will keep from the people who made them and what they will leave behind. It just sounds so good, and I love Taylor Jenkins Reid. She's one of my favorite authors of all time. I want to get through her backlist before she puts out even more books as well too. It just feels like something that like sounds good, and also Malibu is very much one of those things where like it's very beachy, it's very vibey. This feels like a summer-y book, and it just feels like that. It just embodies the feeling of summer. So I'm excited for that. I always love when like family drama, I don't know why. I like reading about family drama in books, but I don't like it when like it's in real life. I don't know why. It's just it's weird to me. But yeah, that is the next book up on the list. And then the next one that I have is Promise Me Sunshine by Cara Bastone. I have wanted to try and read Cara Bastone since I first learned about her last year. I believe I found out about her. I have Promise Me Sunshine on my Kindle along with Ready or Not, but I think starting out with Promise Me Sunshine will be just a little bit better. Again, I feel like a lot of people know what this book is about, but basically it follows this woman named Lenny. She is basically grieving her best friend who passed away after a battle of cancer, and Lenny is just kind of feeling completely alone, and she's not really feeling like herself. I believe she does a thing where she does temporary babysitting jobs, and she lands a great one taking care of this daughter. I think her name is Ainsley. Yeah, and the single mom who is just needing like some help. And then Ainsley's uncle Miles comes into the picture, and they kind of get off on a little bit of a rough patch. But then Miles can see that Lenny is not doing the greatest. So Miles tries to help her through her grief and tries to do the things, because I think they made Lenny and her best friend Lou made a list, I believe, of things that they wanted to do. So I believe Miles is going to help check off those things on the list. It sounds really interesting. It sounds really heartbreaking. I've heard that Cara Bastone is on the levels of like leaning more towards like women's fiction rather than romance. But you know what? I don't mind that combination too much. I feel like we sometimes need a little bit of like a like women's fiction and like romantic type of fiction vibe in order to remind us that like love comes in all shapes and sizes. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why I want to read that. Plus also the cover is like summer. Like, you cannot tell me that that does not take place in summer. I don't know if it does take place during the summertime. You guys can let me know in the comments down below if it does, but I just know that I will more than likely like it. I don't know what Cara Bastone's writing style is, but I'm hoping that I do like it. I do want to vlog it on the channel, so you guys will probably see that sometime during the summertime, but we shall see. And then the next one that I have on here is one that for some reason I associate this author with summertime. I don't know why. I just do, because I think maybe it's because her books hit during the summertime the most. But we have Tourist Season by Brynne Weaver. This, I believe, is the first book in the Seasons of Carnage trilogy, where I feel like I've talked about this one before, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But with this one, basically what this is about is Cape Carnage is a seaside town of colorful houses, quirky shops, and an unusual high body count. With tourists comes trouble, and Harper Starling won't let anyone ruin her perfect picture home. A skilled gardener with killer instincts, Harper protects her sanctuary and her aging mentor with a fading memory at all costs. Troublesome tourists don't check out of Carnage. They compose beneath Harper's award-winning flower beds. But Nolan Rhodes isn't your average tourist. Devilishly handsome, disarmingly charming, and skilled with a blade, Nolan is relentless in the pursuit of revenge. On every anniversary of the hit-and-run accident that fractured his life, Nolan slays another target, and he saved the best for last, the undeniable, beautiful Harper Starling. The problem? Harper isn't the monster he expected, and she won't go down without a fight. When an amateur true crime investigator comes to Cape Carnage on the trail of a long-lost serial killer, Harper and Nolan strike an uneasy truce. If Nolan helps Harper protect her town, she'll keep quiet about his hunting habits for now, but their alliance soon spirals into obsession, one that threatens to shatter every secret in Carnage, including their fragile love. So it's another serial killer romance. I read Butcher and Blackbird beforehand, and I loved it a lot. It was great. I have a feeling that I might like these guys as well too, but we shall see. And for some reason, whenever I see Brynne Weaver on a book, I'm like, I gotta read her books during the summer. I don't know why, I feel like it. Maybe that's because harvest season is coming out later in, I think it actually is coming out later in June. I think I pre-ordered it a little bit ago because I knew I would more than likely want to continue on with this series, because something that I've also noticed is, you guys know, I don't read a lot of dark romances that much, but Brynne Weaver's type of dark romances I love. And I wouldn't even call them specifically dark romances. I would call them dark rom-coms. Like, they're funny. Like, they talk about like horrible shit and bad shit, but the overall thing with it is it's funny. It's so funny to read, and I'm like, I shouldn't be laughing at this shit, but I am, because, you know, it's great. But that's another book that I hopefully will be reading in the summertime as well. This next one is actually kind of a little bit of a curveball, but I have a reasoning why, because of a video that I'm going to be reading like in this in pretty much, you know, and that is Recursion by Blake Crouch. This is a sci-fi novel, which I think a lot of people know what this is about, but basically there's an epidemic that spreads memories of a life that people had never lived. So like, let's say that you get this kind of virus thing and you can get these memories of a life that you've never lived, and you're like, what the fuck? I never lived this. So they're basically trying to figure out, I believe it takes place in New York, but Detective Barry Sutton, he's kind of close to the truth, and he finds that like this cure and such is with this neuroscientist named Helena Smith, and she holds the key in order to be able to cure this disease or maybe fight this disease, you know? And then they kind of get looped into this kind of like chaos vibe, you know? So many people love Blake Crouch as an author, and I'm really kind of curious to see if I will like him. I want to get more into science fiction because the premises sound so fun and so cool and just so witty as well, that I'm hoping that I will be able to read this sooner rather than later as well too. But that's one of the books on here. Another one that I also have on here that I believe the TV show is either coming out in June or July, I think, but it is Every Summer After by Carley Fortune. I have seen a lot of good things about Carley Fortune. I've seen that she really does the summer vibes very, very well. So I'm very, very curious about this one. And this one, I don't really know too much about it, but basically what this is they say you can never go home again. And for Persephone Fraser, ever since she made the biggest mistake of her life a decade ago, that has felt too true. Instead of spending glittering summers on the lakeside shore of her childhood, she stays home in a stylish apartment in the city, keeping everyone a safe distance from her heart, until she receives a call that sends her racing back to Barry's Bay and into the orbit of Sam Florkin, the man she never thought she'd have to live without. For 6 summers, through hazy afternoons on the water and warm summer nights working in his family's restaurant, Percy and Sam have been inseparable. Eventually, that friendship turned into something more before it fell spectacularly apart. When Percy returns to the lake for Sam's mother's funeral, their connection is as undeniable as it has always been. But until Percy can confront the decisions she made, they'll never know whether their love is bigger than the biggest mistakes of their past. Told over the course of 6 summers and 1 weekend, Every Summer After is a gorgeously nostalgic look at love and the people and choices that mark us forever. So yeah, that's what that one is about. Again, this one just feels like summer vibes. It's got summer in the title as well. I feel like I have to. I feel like I need to. Plus, I also kind of want to see if I can read this before I can watch the TV show as well, too. Because there's a lot of adaptations coming out this year, which I'm like, you know, this is nice. So, but yeah, that's one of the other books that I want to read. And then the next one that I want to read on the list, one that actually recently just came out and has recently come onto my radar because it has been blowing up on my side of the internet, and that is Into the Blue by Emma Brodie. I feel like a lot of people know what this is about, but this follows 2 people who met when they were teenagers. One of them is a very famous actor. His name is Noah. He also also has very famous parents. And then AJ is the woman, I believe. She is trying to make it big, specifically in SNL, and is trying to become a writer for SNL and like sketch comedies and things like that. And we basically follow their story through, I believe, decades of just like them being in each other's orbit, being away from each other, and then being back in each other's orbits as well too. And I have seen so many people crying over this book. It's not even funny. I don't know. I mean, it sounds good. I know Taylor Jenkins Reid did a blurb on the back, and I'm like, you know what? Might as well just like try it out. Like I said, I know nothing too much about it besides people like crying their eyeballs out and people really loving it. And it also turned out to be a book club pick for one of the book clubs that I am a part of, specifically Jamie Folk's book club, where we are reading Into the Blue in June. So hopefully I will be able to read this soon. Okay, and then the second to last one I have on the list is one that I have been seeing and have just been like, I don't know, honestly. And with that one is Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. So this one, I believe it follows Liz and Wes. It basically, I think it's like a fake dating type of vibe or whatever. I know that so many people love this and so many people love Lynn Painter. This is one of those books where I'm like, you know, it sounds cute. It sounds fun. I want to try it, you know? And I believe it references a bunch of different like rom-coms. Like as you can see on the front, like one of them is like Dirty Dancing. I don't know my rom-coms, people. I'm so sorry, but y'all can tell me what other rom-coms are on there. So yeah, this is one of those ones where it's like, yeah, this is like another one of those things where it's like peak summer vibes. It feels like something that like is in the summertime as well too. And it just sounds like nice and just like cute. I believe it's also young adult as well too. So yeah, that's a good thing, honestly, you know? And then the last one that I have on here, I don't actually have the physical copy because it is coming out in July and it is ending one of the greatest series that I have ever read/watched in my entire life, and that is Heartstopper Volume 6. I cannot believe that we are near the end of Nick and Charlie's story. Everybody knows what this is about, but if surprisingly you don't know, basically, Nick and Charlie are friends in secondary school and they become friends. They kind of start hanging out a little bit, and Nick is very much the like subsequential like jock figure, while Charlie is kind of like the more like quiet and shy, reserved type of like nerdy type of dude as well too. He's also openly gay as well too, and Charlie kind of starts developing a crush on Nick, but everybody's telling him like Nick is very straight, he's not gonna go for you, but surprisingly, Nick likes Charlie back too. So they kind of start having a little bit of like a romantic relationship and things like that. And we're following their story from there. This is the last installment of the books. The movie is coming out later in July, I believe. And I'm so excited for that. Heartstopper is very much summery vibes. I love Heartstopper. I watched the movie. No, I watched the show first before I read the comics, and I'm kind of sad that I didn't do that, but you know, it's okay. You know, but those are all of the books that I plan on reading in the summertime, and hopefully all of them will get read, but we shall see. I do see that my camera battery is going to die, so I'm going to try and wrap this up really, really quickly. So this is going to be the end of the video. Thank you guys again so much for watching. If you did enjoy it, please make sure to like and comment down below. If you don't know what to comment down below, tell me what are some of the books that you want to read during this summer. If you liked me, please make sure to subscribe and turn on post notifications. For reference, I post every Monday with reading, writing, or lifestyle vlogs. Every other Wednesday, I do bookish content like these types of videos. And on Fridays, we do Tomodachi Life, Living the Dream. We're having so much fun over there, so much drama, so much just like gorgeousness and just so much love. If you want to check out any of the books that I mentioned in this video, there's going to be a link down in the description down below to where you can go buy them through a local bookstore of yours, through bookshop.org. I also have a list down there of all of the books in here, so it's easy for you guys to basically look at, put it in your cart and go buy it. So yeah, thanks again for watching. I will see you all in the next one, and I truly hope you guys have an amazing day, week, month, and year. See you later, friends.